copy of your slide deck, so when you're ready, take it away.
Absolutely, and we can direct everyone's attention to pages 189 through 196 of the budget book. That's where the Department of Law budget information is contained. Mr. Chair, Council President Shipman, members of City Council, members of the administration, colleagues, and members of the public, I'm Nina Hickson, and since May of 2018, I've had the honor of serving as City Attorney for the City of Atlanta. This is the 7th budget I have presented in this capacity, the 10th overall, having presented 3 as the ethics officer, and presumably the last one that I will present to the City of Atlanta.
I'm sure you'll miss us.
If you will allow me, I would like to first express my sincerest appreciation and gratitude to the City Council and administration for the support you have provided to the City Attorney's Office, the Law Department over the past 6 years. During that time, the department has worked diligently to provide quality legal services to the city on behalf of its residents. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge and let the Law Department members that I have had that I've been grateful to lead the chance to say thank you. I have been fortunate to work with a great team of professionals who are among the hardest working people that I've ever worked with. And contrary to the ill-informed, government employees do work very hard, and the folks who work in this department are very dedicated and committed to doing a good job. And so I thank each and every one of them and wish them all the best as I depart. So thank you for giving me a moment to acknowledge my team and to say thank you. Today we're proposing a total budget of $26.3 million for the Law Department, broken down as follows: $11.2 million in the general fund, $7.4 in the airport or aviation, and $7.6 million in Department of Watershed. Joining today, we've got Kim Patrick to my right, who's my Chief Deputy City Attorney, who's oversees aviation and legal operations. To my far left is Ty White, Director of Legal Operations for Human Resources, and Mayshira Bailey to my immediate left, Director of Legal Operations for Finance. Moving, we're on the first slide, is the organizational structure of the department. You will see the leadership and the first, 3 levels for the department. Overall, we currently have 48 attorneys, 33 non-attorneys, and 8 total vacancies. We can move to slide 2. Ms. Patrick will speak.
Good afternoon. I will talk about accomplishments, and we have had a myriad of accomplishments, but I would like to talk about just a few of our accomplishments and how they align with the mayor's Moving Atlanta Forward agenda. So starting with the first pillar, effective and ethical government, we completed ethics financial disclosure reporting with 100% on-time submissions before the April 1st deadline. We provided training to attendees on the FAA's policy and guidelines regarding the appropriate use of airport revenue and facilities. We hosted the 10th annual local government CLE seminar with an emphasis on ethics and open records, and our attorneys earned 7 of the required 12 CLE annual hours. And lastly, we facilitated 1-hour training sessions on the legislative training process targeted for staff members involved in drafting and reviewing legislation. Going on to the next pillar, a city of opportunity for all, we participated in the summer internship program by hosting 2 phenomenal college students from Spelman College and 1 law school student. We provided legal advice and support to the mayor's affordable housing efforts, and we initiated the update to this disparity study, making equity, diversity, and inclusion a top priority in city business. One Safe City, we defended litigation, including environmental challenges, and provided advice and council on Atlanta Public Safety Training Center matters. And lastly, looking ahead, the fourth pillar, a city built for the future. We continue to educate staff on AI technology to ensure that it will be used in a manner that conforms to the rules of professional conduct and with an in-depth understanding of all of the risks and benefits. And we will continue our technology improvements to include document management systems, Monday.com, which will allow our staff to streamline work, increase productivity, manage projects, tasks, and duties. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. The slide before you shows our FY25 position count by fund. There are 88 positions proposed in the FY25 budget allocated as follows. 40.25 to the general fund, 27.15 to the watershed fund, 17.05 to the aviation fund, and 3.55 to the aviation renewal and extension fund. The average vacancy rate in FY23 was 24%, and the average vacancy rate currently in FY24 is 8%. In terms of vacancies, this slide shows 19.27 vacant positions determined at a point in time. However, as of the current date, there are 7 true vacant positions, which include 5 attorney vacancies and 2 support staff vacancies.
Moving on to slide 4. This slide shows the FY25 year-over-year budget trend to the general fund. The proposed budget for FY25 is $11.2 million. Compared to $10.7 million adopted in FY24, which results in a 5.4% increase overall due to one-time costs related to the disparity study. The disparity study costs have a 34% allocation to the general fund. Moving on to slide 5. This slide shows the FY25 itemized proposed budget year over year for the general fund. The proposed FY24 general fund budget is $11.2 million. And it is itemized by category as follows. There is $5 million allocated to salaries and benefits, $6.2 million allocated to purchase contracted services. The purchase contracted services line includes outside counsel, litigation expenses, temp professional services expenses, training and travel, and other basic operating expenses. There's $44,500 allocated to supplies and $10,500 allocated to other costs. The other cost line includes business meeting and contingency commissioner expenses. When you compare the FY25 proposed general fund purchase contracted services line to the FY24 adopted general fund purchase contracted services line, there is a 10% increase from $5.6 million to $6.2 million in the purchase contracted services line due to the disparity study as previously mentioned. That concludes our presentation, and we are happy to address any questions at this time.
That's a record for brevity. Let me ask a question about the disparity study. And I'm not on public safety legal administration, so I'm not as familiar with that as I otherwise might be. How are those findings and recommendations socialized with council these days? It used to be it was a huge deal to receive a disparity study.
We have typically, when it's finalized, there is the report that is presented to the council. I don't know that we've had a public presentation of it. The last update, I don't know if that happened during the pandemic and we just didn't present it, but we do have the written study and can provide it when requested.
What's the recommended frequency for those?
Between 3 and 5 years.
I'm kind of curious about your staffing levels. You're not shorthanded?
Best way to answer that is we do have vacancies. There are areas where we probably could use some additional help. However, the past 2 years, my focus has shifted from the recruitment to the retention. Recruitment had been very difficult, as I think everybody has explained. And what I found is that I've had to attempt to keep very high performers who have had other opportunities by doing increases, by offering professional development opportunities, but the shift has been to retention such that, because when you lose folks, you lose a lot of institutional memory, which is quite valuable. And so, yes, there's always the chance or I could say there are more people, but we have to balance some of the areas where we need the legal help. I don't know that we could afford to hire somebody on a full-time basis to provide the particular expertise. And so it's a balancing between getting who we have to provide the services in-house and then having the money to also use outside counsel who can provide the expertise that we need.
Yeah, in my experience, when your department loses seasoned people, I mean, if you lose a seasoned mechanic, but you replace that mechanic with an equally seasoned mechanic, you're going to be okay. When you lose someone who's been here 10, 20 years, bring in someone new, the interpretation difference can be just shocking and a real shock to the system, as you know. I mean, when you get somebody reinterpreting a section of the zoning code, that throws our entire public review process, CRB process into utter turmoil. Do you continue to find that the attraction to working here is to, build up a bank of experience working with cases and clients that you wouldn't otherwise had a chance to get your hands on if you were with Dewey, Fleeson, and Howe, and then once they kind of reach that level,
they can monetize it.
Yep.
Absolutely. That is one of the drawing points. The other that we have not done as good a job as we probably could is the whole notion of the public service loans, where if they provide 10 years of service, then they can get some of their student loans reduced. And so that has been an attraction to some of the folks. But frankly, the level of experience, the exposure that one can get in the early responsibility for cases are factors that tend to be attractive to candidates.
Yeah, and I've always applauded, as I know you have, when your staffers go out and absolutely school some blue stocking law firm. I always love those outcomes. I have to remind myself that there's a number of questions we don't ask you on camera about your budget. So at this point, I will turn it over to others who do have questions. Chip.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me first just say that as the public may or may not know, the city attorney is a dual report between the council and the mayor. And so I would just want to go on record with gratitude for myself and on behalf of the whole council to you and for your service directly to us, being responsive to specific questions we have, helping us draft legislation, navigate certain waters. It is not always easy to do a report. In fact, it's probably never easy to do a report, but I certainly appreciate all of the time that you've spent, and also particularly with this council, because there were so many new members all at the same time, and have always found you to have patience and thoroughness, and very much appreciate that. So
Thank you.
best of luck going forward. My only question is really just around one of the things I think that we have always are trying to navigate is the relationship with the state, and how do we think about the state, how do we think about the Constitution at the state level, how do we think about the things we do. Do we have that expertise in the office, in your opinion, right now, and or are some of the outside services that we're contemplating, because that is just such a central part, and frankly, I feel like that you uniquely have brought some of those things. I think the person coming in also uniquely brings some of those things, but from a budget standpoint, do you feel like that we have the right investments in that particular area, given its importance?
I think so. Certainly, I think the opportunity that the new city attorney has is to begin to develop that with some of the younger lawyers so that when people who have more experience leave, that, that's not a hole or a gap that hasn't been filled. And that's what I think the focus probably should be on, is developing that with the younger attorneys so that you always have that particular skill set. But I think we do fairly well, and I think budgetarily we do well in that regard.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Well, again, appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I didn't really have any questions. Just wanted to, as President Shipman did, thank you for your service to the city. You lead an excellent team. I know we interact the most with Ms. Robinson, but I know all of your team works hard, just as you said. So thank you for leading them. We'll miss you. Living here full time, not just in Atlanta, but the best council district in Atlanta. But we wish you well.
Thank you.
Goes without saying you'll miss these budget hearings. Dual reporting thing, I know that's tough. I've dealt with a number of city attorneys, a number of CFOs. It's difficult. I think I measure you kind of with this metric above all others, and that is how we feel and act walking out of an executive session. We have to walk right out of that meeting and come right into here, vote on some of the hairiest, most expensive, complicated matters that come before us. And, you talk, we listen attentively, we ask our questions, answer them, look at each other and say, all right, let's go in there and get this done. So I think take that as the compliment that I mean it to be. Is there anything else today? Ms. Bakhtiari. Mr. Lewis.
And Attorney Hickson, I just want to say thank you for your service to the city of Atlanta. When you talk about the time you've been here, and he says we go to the back and we get to hear you explain cases and you answer questions. We might not always like some of the answers, but you answer questions, and I appreciate you for that. And I wish you every success in the world in whatever you do next. Thank you also for telling us that attorneys, I married an attorney, for telling us that attorneys, something that would incentivize them to stay in the public sector would be help with paying for student loans. As we think about it, we try to be innovative in each and every department. Each department has something that people who work in departments have different things they're interested in. And so I think that the mayor and the administration should hear that point coming from you as you leave, saying, hey, we would keep more people around for a 10-year period if you put this 10-year mark on it. And I see everybody shaking their head to that. And so I think if we actually add that, I could see the applications going up in the city of Atlanta. I could see different jurisdictions losing attorneys to the city. And so thank you again for that.
Ms. Bakhtiari.
My colleagues have asked all of the Parker-hitting questions, and I would be remiss if I didn't also thank you as somebody who came onto this council, I think one of the largest changes this council's ever undergone in terms of new folks on this body. And a lot of us came in wanting to do a lot of things, many of which we did not know were not okay or were accidentally illegal. But you have been a guiding force through all of that. Also, you have the human computer over there known as Ms. Amber Robinson, who is extraordinary, and this entire team. Managing all that you all do. I think the biggest surprise when people ask us, what's the biggest surprise you were hit with upon coming onto council? Certainly mine was the number of people that are here to help us, that want to help us, the extraordinary people that are here, and many of those exist on your team. And we do joke that legal is where our dreams go to die, but it's where it's how y'all keep us protected. And I know you've been here for a long time and have touched a lot more than just this building. And you've taught me a lot, certainly. I know I've driven you crazy. I know that she's nodding, so we know that's true. I'm just very grateful to you, Ms. Hickson.
Thank you.
And everything you've done and all that you've taught us, me especially. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. We're done. Hail and farewell.
Thank you.